Knick knack, it's Knackles! And today on Sonic Fan Game Reviews, we're gonna be playing, oh my god, it's so good! Sonic GT is one of the most fun and complete 3D Sonic fan games available today. The amount of effort, care, and creativity poured into this project by the developer, Gabriel Gonzalez, aka NotSoGreedy, is apparent every time I play it. So let's break down what makes it so great. Sonic GT builds upon the ideas of games like Sonic Utopia and Sonic Adventure to create a very unique gameplay style that encourages speedrunning and skill mastery. This new style of gameplay does take a bit of getting used to at first, but I absolutely love it. Every playthrough of the levels in this game is an exhilarating time. GT's Sonic seems to run much faster than most other games allow him to. Thus you play the levels differently than normal, maybe skipping a couple platforms when you launch from a ramp or reaching for the furthest badnik you can with your homing attack. The game's physics, controls, and level design create a fast and flowing experience. Sonic has a pretty large moveset in this game. He can jump, homing attack, spin dash, roll, bounce, and more. The majority of these moves can be used to traverse the stage in a way that maintains your flow when used skillfully. Unfortunately, bouncing seems to kill your momentum, so I rarely use it. I feel like the bounce move would have been more useful if it worked like it did in Sonic Adventure 2 or Sonic Project Hero. However, the rest of Sonic's moveset more than makes up for it. Unlike the bounce, the rest of the moveset has been tweaked slightly in favor of continuous forward movement. The homing attack reticle can now target any point on a rail, and when you press the button, Sonic will launch forward towards that point and maintain his speed when he begins grinding. You can now move forward slightly when charging your spin dash. The roll hasn't changed at all, but it didn't need to. It's still a great way to gain speed when going down a slope and didn't need any tweaks to fit GT's gameplay. The wall jump has also been implemented. If you find yourself going the wrong way, sometimes a well-timed wall jump is all you need to get going back in the right direction. My favorite gameplay mechanic might be the return of the boost mode from Sonic Advance 2. It's a great way to incentivize maintaining your speed, and it just looks sweet as hell. Overall, I think the moveset and gameplay mechanics work very well with the game's physics, which work just as beautifully as they do in games like Utopia and Project Hero, and of course the classic Sonic games they originated from. In my opinion, the controls are one of the most, if not the most crucial thing to get right in any video game, as they are the way you experience the entire game. The controls paint the overall experience in a better or worse light, and NotSoGreedy absolutely nailed them. How is it, and I mean freaking seriously, how is it that the controls are smoother than silk when I'm going this fast? Just like in Project Hero, I never had to think about how far I was pushing the analog stick when moving around or making a turn in GT. It all feels completely natural. The button layout is intuitive as well. The layout matches the official games, and all the buttons are right where you'd expect them to be. While I do like all the levels in the game, GT's radically different gameplay doesn't work too well in a regular Sonic stage. This is proven by the zone Radical Highway. It's pulled straight from Sonic Adventure 2 with some slight tweaking to make it more facilitated to GT's gameplay, but it's still just awkward to play here. GT's Sonic and Shadow are just too fast for this level, and it's quite frustrating to play because of this. It seems to me that in order for a stage to work in this game, it has to be designed from the ground up with this game in mind. And thankfully, all of the other zones in this game are. The level design in GT works in tandem with the moveset, controls, and physics to deliver a thrilling experience and give the player loads of options while navigating the level. Every stage has tons of alternate paths, and the level design does a good job at efficiently conveying a lot of these paths to you. Many times throughout each level, you'll be launched from a ramp or spring or something, and you'll be able to see 3 or 4 different choices for where to land. Even more if you get creative. It's up to you to decide as you're falling down which one will be the fastest option depending on your angle and momentum and whatnot. This adds tons of replayability to each stage, and there are many paths which aren't telegraphed to you and require exploration to find as well. Speaking of replayability, this game knocks it out of the park. GT is one of the most finished 3D Sonic fan games playable today. Not only does it have 4 playable zones, not including the tutorial and test level, but some of them have multiple different missions that you can choose to play. Some of these missions will really force you to hone your skills. For example, there's a mission in Hilltop Zone in which you race Tails in his plane to the end of the level. As far as I can tell, since Tails is in the tornado rather than on foot, this is basically a time limit challenge, unless there's some sort of AI or rubber banding that I'm not aware of. Regardless, just beating Tails for the first time was pretty tough, but it never felt unfair and it never pissed me off. After that, I wanted to beat my time, which was also a huge challenge that took many attempts. But the extra features don't stop there. You can also choose to play as Shadow in this game, although sometimes his voice clips seem a little out of place.
I'll do this for you, Maria.
Yeah, Shadow, Maria specifically wanted you to race Tails in Hilltop Zone. Shadow plays pretty much exactly like Sonic as far as I can tell, but I think that's a positive. Nearly every time in the official games that they've tried to make Shadow play differently from Sonic, he ended up not being as good. These extra game modes and the inclusion of Shadow as a playable character shows the amount of dedication NotSoGreedy has to this project. The menu even changes color when you pick Shadow. I finished recording all the footage I needed for this game a couple months ago, but I actually still pop it in from time to time to this day just to play a couple levels. I think it's awesome that the egg pawns in this game don't have stormtrooper aim anymore. They can actually hit you even when you're moving a little bit. Good job, Eggman. You finally made robots that are an actual threat. Oh, and now those robots are gone. This game has a custom soundtrack made by musician and game developer Alex Leons, and it totally slaps. The main menu theme puts you in a chill mood and doesn't rush you to pick an option, and there seems to be a musical motif that plays in the main menu, as well as the results screens, giving this game its own musical identity. The voice acting for Sonic, Tails, and Shadow done by Tom Kempson is really good as well. I think he did a fine job capturing the personality and voices of the 3 characters, with the exception of Shadow being a little too much of a dumb edgelord for my taste.
Die!
But that fault falls more on the lines Tom was given and not his voice acting skills. I also really like the banter between Sonic and Tails during their race.
Aw, Tails, you doing this to make me look good?
Sonic GT has a bright future ahead of it. If we take a look at NotSoGreedy's YouTube channel, there's plenty of update videos on the project being released fairly often. The next update appears to be making some drastic changes to the game overall, and they look fantastic. The graphics have become more detailed, and the level design? Holy shit, just look at this! It's so huge and expansive! The level looks a lot more natural now, and it reminds me of the level design from the beta version of Windy Valley that never made it into Sonic Adventure. I do have one complaint about the new level though. There is a part in the level in which you have to smash some egg pawns in order to unlock the spring to progress. It only happens once, and it looks like you might even be able to avoid it by taking a different path, so it's really not that big a deal. But moments like this don't really fit well in Sonic games in my opinion. It breaks the pace and makes you stop for a moment. However, I'm still very excited to play this new version of the game, and I'm impressed to see that a creator who has already made far more progress on his game than most 3D fan game devs in the Sonic community have, is still working on the next update of that game. NotSoGreedy is absolutely dedicated to this project, and I have no doubt that he'll put out this great new update soon. I highly recommend you check out Sonic GT. NotSoGreedy and his team clearly put a lot of passion, work, and creativity into this game, and did a terrific job with it. Like I said before, this game will give you more mileage than most 3D Sonic fan games, and I'm not trying to trash on those other games when I say that. I know game development is quite tough and time consuming, but it's just really nice to see a 3D Sonic fan game with this much content to offer. I really enjoy the level design and controls of this game, and I'm looking forward to future updates. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll be coming at you next week with the beginning of the Sonic and Knuckles half of my Sonic 3 and Knuckles playthrough. But in the meantime, feel free to check out some of the earlier episodes of Sonic fan game reviews, as well as my other channel, Epic Zacko, where me and my friends have put out some really action-packed superhero short films that we're still working on today. But without further ado, this has been Knuckles, and I'm headed back to Angel Island to protect the Master Emerald. Have a great week.
Okay.